kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win! And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Ellie De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone! Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? He's back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds.
Swung on and hit
Deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it tied to score.
Goes to second one. Around the first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off. Archer does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winner. It's a winner. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause in the pitch, and a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third, and this one belongs to the Reds.
That's hit pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now. 1 out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you pay him the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. And Keel going back at the warning track. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Good evening, Reds fans. Welcome to Chatterbox Reds pregame show. I'm Alex. He is Sam, and we're ready for the 5th straight Reds victory. And overall, and the 5th straight victory against the Cleveland Guardians this year. I did not have time to look up last year's stats. I didn't even just thought of that off the top of my head. We swept them in Cincinnati. We're going for the sweep in Northern Ohio. I live in Cincinnati. I don't live in that city. I'm not going to say it. Sam, how are you today?
I'm good, Alex. It's great to have the Ohio Cup finally back. First time since 2014, like they said on the broadcast. I guess Terry Francona he really knows how to win an Ohio Cup with his time in Cleveland, constantly beating the Reds. But it's finally good to see not only that, but just, 4 straight wins in the win column. Something that this Reds team, they've been inconsistent all year. You've seen a lot of these little mini win streaks, but we're hoping to keep some sustained success. Hopefully a series win tonight, Alex.
Yeah, that's that's been the theme. I feel like some weeks you and I come on here, and we're in the gutter.
There's been a couple.
Come back the week after, and we're fully back in. We're fully back right now. We're fully back right now. 4 straight wins, like you are going for 4 straight wins, going for 5 tonight. Overall, and against the Guardians. I'm excited to see this team keep playing well. And honestly, we have our best pitcher this year on the mound tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. But let's talk about last night's game. Sam, give us give us your thoughts on last night's game. Kind of an interesting game. I'd love to see what kind of the box score looked very strange with the Reds scoring 7 of 9 and 6 straight. What's your thoughts from last night? Anything that stand out to you?
Yeah, you said it. With scoring in 7 of the 9 innings is crazy for the Reds to do. It seems like, they're a 1 inning or the first inning, they get 1 or 2, and then they're shut out the rest. Has been kind of the story of the year. But 1 run in every of the innings that they scored, also pretty strange. But I'm all for balanced offense, scoring throughout the whole game, especially in those last couple innings, 7, 8, 9. Like I said, the Reds have just not done that this year, but it's great to see finally some runs being scored throughout the game in more of a balanced way. But yeah, Friedel's been awesome. He hit another home run. Fraley hit another home run. I think his best swing of the year. Just watching that, it was a changeup, maybe low and away, and he just completely turned on it. Huge crack of the bat. Sounded like one of those Ohtani home runs, but yeah, be able to turn on that, it was awesome to see. But yeah, the only player who didn't get a hit, I think, was McLean, which you and Hunter were hyping up last night, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
we kind of thought he was turning the corner, and I'm sure he is. I'm still rooting for him, obviously, but looking at back up, preparing for tonight, it was funny to see that he was 0 for 5. Now, I did look him up on Baseball Savant. 2 strikeouts and the three at bats he made contact. It was just soft contact, so nothing stood out there. Poor performance or still in that in that slump. But I think he'll be fine. Overall, not a guy I want to worry about going forward. What about the starting pitching last night? Sam, last night, Hunter and I thought, hey, if you can get 4 innings out of Wade Miley, that would be a success. He gave us 5, 3 innings, or three runs, 5 innings. What was your thoughts on him?
Yeah, one of our shows a couple weeks back, I remember we set or not even an over-under. It was just a yes or no. Will Wade Miley see the MLB field this year? And I think you said there's a possibility, but I was on the complete side of he will not. And, last night, Wade Miley takes the mound for the second time this year, his first start. But even for him to be able to qualify for a win is, I think, exceeding my expectations at least. I think a lot of fans would agree. Going 5 innings and being up, I was very impressed with him the first couple innings. He was, his patented going really quick. The Wade Miley we're used to seeing, getting the ball and just going. He wasn't getting a lot of called strikes. There was a couple pitches I thought he painted that he wasn't getting, but overall, I was impressed with kind of the grit he was able to show, because a lot of people wouldn't have expected him to be on this major league roster at this point in the season, and he goes out there and gets himself a win. So I was impressed with Wade last night.
Yeah, it's hopefully you can just keep the lightning in the bottle. You look back a couple years, the last few years, and even going back to 2017, Bronson Arroyo, that was just terrible. I think Arroyo his arm was, glued together, stapled together, whatever. But even going back to 2023, and off the top of my head, the Ben Lively's of the world, the Luke Weavers, those guys kept the Reds afloat. If Wade Miley can just continue to give 5 innings, I think we'll be solid. 4 or 5 innings. I do not like the idea of Ashcraft starting. Yeah. I'm actually pretty full out on Ashcraft. I think last night he gave up another home run. Did he not? I think Naylor. Yep. Trace and Craig were talking about Ashcraft last night on the post-game show. Absolutely not. I think Ashcraft is all but. I mean, I think he's got some fans in the organization still. Don't get me wrong. But Ashcraft, he just can't strike any guys out. And I know that fits a starter better than it does a high leverage reliever. But I'll just keep him in the long relief and in the bullpen for the time being. And we talked about it last night too. I'd like to get your thoughts. The pitching depth is really needed. I mean, you were hoping that Rhett Lauder would have been the guy, but he's out. Spires is out. I gave my opinion last night. What's your thoughts on Chase Burns? How much longer do you think he's down in AAA?
I know you guys mentioned the 2 or 3 starts is kind of what a lot of people are throwing out there. I would personally, I think it's going to be more than that. I don't really have anything to back that up. I just don't see some of the stuff Nick Kroll has said. It just leads me to believe that they're not ready to call him up this early. I would love for him to be up. I'd rather watch Chase Burns than Wade Miley. I think everyone would agree with that, but I just wouldn't expect it. But I think this Hunter Green decision, with him getting a second opinion, I think that's going to play a huge role in this because, if he's out for past the All-Star break or whatever till August, I don't even want to say it, but I think Chase Burns could potentially, that's his way through because I don't know how much longer you can go with Wade Miley. And you said Spires is a guy who started the season up with the big league club. He was awesome, but just can't stay healthy right now. So,
and actually, Burns, I did read there was a post on X. He is on his way back.
Yeah.
Not as close as what we'll get to in a second, Austin Hayes and Jamier Candelario, but he's working his way back.
And that's the guy you'd love to fill in that fifth spot with a guy like Green out, but
absolutely
not here now, but we'll see.
So I totally agree. I think Burns is close, but one thing I didn't mention last night, which I'm interested in, and if you have in the chat, I see John Silvani, Tommy H commenting about Burns coming up, and a few others. Here is the one thing I'm proposing now is if you bring Chase Burns up, and even, honestly, it doesn't matter if he's up or not because he's still pitching in now Louisville. You're wasting him in Louisville now because he's not pitching for the big club. But if he does great out of the gate, do you have him on an innings limit that he'll never even make September? That if you make the run in the post trade deadline that you want, he won't be available in October. I wonder if the Reds are thinking something like that. Sam, you may not remember it, but the Nationals did that with Strasburg all those years ago.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, it just seems like he's wasting bullets in the minor leagues because he's just been dominant all year. Triple-digit fastball, huge slider. It seems like you're wasting bullets. So I would like for them to probably do that innings limit just so that when he gets up to the big leagues, he's there for the run that we will make in September and October. But I think just who knows what will happen with Hunter Green. I think that's really the main piece in the story for when we'll see Chase Burns.
And one last thing, and we can wrap up the Burns talk, even though we kind of said before we weren't going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Bryce Spalding, friend of Chatterbox, posted on X. The Brewers called up one of their top pitching prospects.
Yeah.
And Bryce did mention that for every player that comes up, it allows the Reds to be more flexible because of the Super 2. If you don't know what Super 2 is, I'm not going to take the time to explain it. It's a little in the weeds, but it allows a player to jump into arbitration a year early. So I guess I am going to explain it. You go 3 years a minimum, 3 years of arbitration. For a Super 2 player, it's the highest percentage of the first few players that are called up each year. Those players are qualified for Super 2, which means that they only have 2 years a minimum, and then they jump into the arbitration. If Chase Burns pitches like you want him to, that does not do well for the Reds when it comes to the dollars, right? And we all know that money's precious around these parts. So I'll be interested to see how that affects us going forward.
We do have cash considerations coming in, though, for Austin wins. So.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some backup there.
I would love to know how much cash considerations are, though.
Yeah.
I always feel like it's a dollar. But I think I don't even think it's like $100K, but
yeah, at that point, who knows?
I guess, that's why we're podcasters and not, hanging out with Brad Meter and Nick Kroll. So since we're podcasters, how about you go run through the lineup with us here, point out anything that we can almost, with our eyes closed, assume that Friedel is in the leadoff, Ellie's in the 3-hole. But we haven't seen you in a little bit. Give us some thoughts on the lineup here from your point of view.
Yeah, very similar to last night's lineup, just with Steer in there for Espinal's spot and then kind of shift around the positions. But yeah, something that kind of sticks out to me is with the past 4 games, we've seen, I think it's 3 or 4, we've seen Lux at the DH, which, the Reds over the past however long, whenever the DH was implemented in the National League, 2020 maybe, most of the years they don't have a cemented DH. And I don't know if Gavin Lux is the answer, but for this little win streak, it seems like he's been penciled in there at DH. And I just wonder if this will stay the same with, like we keep mentioning, Hayes and Candelario coming back. Because if it were up to me, I would just put Hayes in there right, or for Fraley's spot, probably him play left, Benson play right. But I love it, Lux at the DH spot, because he's been playing a lot of left this year, and that everyone knows that's out of position for him, or at least for his the past couple of years, it's been out of position. But they aren't really liking him at third, I guess, because beginning of the season, that's where I thought he'd fit in best. But I guess Francona doesn't like him there at third. But I think DH is somewhere we can see Lux here in the near future a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting, the whole third base. It maybe Lux doesn't like third base.
Yeah.
I barely played, or I didn't even play high school baseball. Shout out Fairfield Waterworks, FYBA. But I did play a couple years of softball. And I played the hot corner.
It's scary.
Same. I think I broke my leg. That's not even a joke. And maybe, I sound like it's I'm not even laughing about it. I'm laughing about it, but maybe Lux is not a fan of third. Who
knows? You
really don't know. But like WTI says in here, second base, he's played second base, and he's the replacement for McLean, or has subbed in for McLean here a bit. I noticed that with DH, I like the spot of Lux and then 2-hole. I think it fits him. I didn't think that the cleanup fit him very well, protecting. CES is there. He can protect Ellie. Obviously, Hayes coming back is a huge win. We've seen Hayes play some DH too. But going back to Lux playing or being in the DH role tonight over left, Progressive Field's a kind of a strange place. With that huge wall, I think it's a larger outfield in general anyway. So it's not a huge surprise for me. I am interested to see what happens, what the order is when Hayes and Candelario come back. Does Connor Joe get sent down first, or does our friend Garrett Hampson get sent down first? I guess time will tell.
Yeah, who knows? And with this whole third base talk, DH, with CES, he's been playing a lot of third here, which it's been very surprising, I think, because you expect him to be in there at first or DH, and that's just it. If you just see their player mold, it seems like Spencer Steer would be much more of a third baseman and CES would be much more of a first baseman. But I don't know if Steer's arm, his throwing,
I don't think he can throw,
affecting this. I think that's probably the main reason. If fully healthy, I think it's probably CES first, Steer at third. But who knows? There might be something that coaching staff sees in CES. I know the Cowboys always huge on how light on his feet he is for a big guy, which he is, and he can move pretty well. But and he's been fine at third base too, more than serviceable. But I feel like there's going to be a play where his slow or his lack of hands kind of comes to bite, and I just don't want that to be a crucial play in the game. So, but I would take his bat over Espinal 100%.
Absolutely, it's either him or it's Candelario. Candelario was starting at third base tonight for the Bats on his rehab stint. But with the CES over at third, the range is not a huge deal. Ellie has the range. Obviously, you can't play, and with some of the shifting and such, you can play McLean closer to the bag, and do some of that as well. But I'm a huge fan of seeing CES play third. I think it's kind of cool to see, these guys have a feather in their cap, if you will, of, hey, I can do this too. I'm not stuck there. And if you remember in 2023, CES played right field for a game, just to see if they can get his bat in the lineup.
And they were doing that when he was in AAA too. They were testing stuff out of him in the left or in the outfield. So
absolutely.
And we haven't really touched on the pitching matchup here yet, which is Abbott and Slade Cecconi, who made his first start this year against the Reds. I know, Alex, were you there at that game?
I was there at that game. That was the racing night, the bobblehead night, a little fun bobblehead with a huge Mr. Redlegs head. But we were there to see Will Benson hit a home run off of Slade Cecconi. Obviously, Will Benson playing left field tonight for the Reds. So, Cecconi, run-of-the-mill guy. I'm excited to watch Andrew Abbott tonight. Sam, what's your thoughts on Abbott this year? And obviously just possibly an all-star campaign.
Yeah, his stats are for sure all-star. He's 5-1 this year with a 2.18 ERA, and he's just been an awesome front-of-the-end starter for the Reds, especially with Green out here. And with Green out, that kind of begs the question. I was just thinking about it. Is Andrew Abbott the best pitcher the Reds on this year? Is Hunter Green the best pitcher on the Reds this year? I don't know. I think it's a pretty even debate. If I had to give an answer, it'd probably still be Green, just because he's been able to go really deep into games and he's just been completely dominant. But availability for Abbott is much better than Green, and the ERA is better. Hunter Green's always going to be a better strikeout guy, but Abbott's just been. He's been kind of an anomaly because everyone always talks about the savant numbers, the StatCast and all that. And Abbott's numbers, they aren't usually that good. He's not a crazy strikeout guy, but he seems to always just go out there, give you 6 innings. And he's been more than good this year for the Reds. Like I said, 2.18 ERA. He hasn't gone very deep into games. I think 6 or 7 is his latest, but yeah, he's just been awesome this year for the Reds, and I'm really excited to see him pitch again tonight.
Yeah, I'm a huge Andrew Abbott guy. Been saying for a few weeks now, if you compare the two lefties, I think Hunter Green's in his own category. You just compare the two lefties of him and Lodolo, I would take Abbott every day of the week. Abbott's a guy, people may think I'm crazy. I would go to him for a contract extension. Maybe not very long-term, but maybe a 4-5-year deal. I think you could probably get him less than 100 for 5 years. You would eat up the rest of his, or at minimum, eat up the rest of his arbitration years, because this would be year 2.5 for him. I don't think that 2023 counts. So
yeah,
he's got 1 more year and then 3 years of arbitration. So he's got 4 more seasons left with the Reds. I think you could do a 4-5-year deal in that 60 to 80 range and lock him up and get it set, and just go from there. I think he's he pitches to the ballpark. And just, I see WTI reminds him of Tom Browning. I never got to watch Tom Browning. But I think I always called him the lefty Mike Leake. Mike Leake was fantastic there for the Reds for 5-6 years. And looking forward to seeing Abbott, hopefully, in Atlanta this year at the All-Star game. That's who I'm really zoned in on, him and Friedel.
Yeah, I think Tito, with his post-game interview about Abbott a couple weeks back, said it best with his big balls statement about Andrew Abbott. And I think that kind of sums it up. He just goes out there. If he can limit walks, he's going to go get you a good outing. Absolutely.
He's a pitcher's pitcher, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. And then you mentioned Cecconi in the game you were at, Benson hitting a home run, and he's just torched his past team, the Cleveland Guardians, the team that traded him away. This whole year is his player of the week. That week came against the sweep against the Guardians, and then last night, bunch of hard hit balls again. And it seems like he's really got a chip on his shoulder against this former team, and against Cecconi again, a guy who's already hit 2 home runs against. Let's see for him to do this again tonight, I guess.
I'm hoping, yeah. I mean, the Reds, outside of last night, they did have 2 home runs, Fraley and Friedel. But they've been really scoring a lot of their runs outside of last night, like I said, with the home run. So we can get a Benson home run tonight. Would be just fantastic. Ellie's kind of been on a tear lately of home runs. He hit a couple, I think, last week.
Yeah, last week was a pretty good week for him.
Yeah, Stevenson hit a couple, and McLean on Sunday. So we got the power in the lineup. Let's get the ball over the fence. One thing I mentioned though about Benson, swing it back to him. Yes, he's been hitting the ball, cover off the ball against the Guardians. But he's really been hitting the ball hard, just not much to show for it. Obviously, and I kind of share some opinion with Francona on this. If you remember when Marte hit that absolute missile in Miami, I think it went like 155 miles per hour off the bat. I think it was like 117, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they brought it up to him. He says, basically, he's like, okay, we still got one run.
Yeah.
I agree with that to a certain degree, to a certain degree with that. It's like, okay, great, fine. When someone's struggling or they're not getting the results, seeing a hard hit ball like Benson's been having the last week plus, that's still a good sign for me.
Yeah. And I know they're outs, but it just shows you it's a good at bat. Hard hit balls are good at bats, and they're going to fall in the big leagues. It's just a matter of time. So I think that's a good point you bring up. But if he just continues to hit them hard, they're going to eventually either get down or start going over the fence.
Absolutely. So as we kind of get towards the wrap up of tonight's game, we've been through the lineup a little bit and just had some fun talking about some other topics. What's your big prediction tonight? Who are you looking forward to as what would be your player of the game?
Yeah, I'm just looking for Abbott to go out there and give this offense, not have to give the offense a bunch of runs. Go out there, give you one run, 6 or 7 innings. But the offense has been great. I don't want to say I expect a drop off, but it's probably coming up here in the next couple games that expected Reds dud, where they go out there and 1 or 0 runs. But I'm not going to say that's going to happen. They're going to go out there and give us some good at bats, but I expect Abbott to go out there and be dominant in his way. That's not going to be a bunch of strikeouts. Could be. He's shown that, but I think he's going to go out there and just be a bulldog on the mound and give this Reds team a chance to win.
Yeah, that'd be, that huge, obviously a great big start from him would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with CES. I think CES is going to have 2 hits tonight.
Stays hot.
And then Benson, I'm going to throw Benson in there as well. I think Benson hits a home run tonight. Clip it up after he hits it. Benson home run, CES 2 hits. Reds win. They go for 5 in a row.
That's great.
This is the beginning of the 12-game win streak.
Yeah. You got to get 5 to get 12.
Exactly. So in the month that everyone said was so hard, I go back to, I guess, 2023. Nick Kirby was preaching to everybody how easy the schedule was down the stretch. Easy schedule.
Yeah. Tough.
I don't really care.
It's usually the opposite.
Exactly.
The Reds team. They play all teams above 500 and they win 12. And then that 2023 August and you can't win a game.
Yep, exactly. So we got some score predictions rolling in. Carey, Reds 5, Guardians 3, TC Thompson 6-3. I assume the Reds, TC. Do you want to give us an idea of who you think is going to win? We hope the Reds.
Oh, wow.
Lance, wow, 13-5. Lance, we don't want 13 runs. Remember, the Reds, that would be the dud.
Yeah, that's a Wednesday day game dud.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it.
We don't want a dud tomorrow. We want the sweep. Daryl Morrow 6-3 Reds. WTI Trader 8-2 Reds. Wow. They really believe in Chris Valleca now, Sam.
Yeah, he's a great hitting coach, everybody.
Great hitting coach. He's fantastic. That's what everybody's saying on the old X app. 8-0 Darren Wright. You guys come back and comment on the chat or on the video if you got the score right. WTI, he must have liked my comment about Chris Valleca.
Extend him.
By the way, if you're getting worked up about a hitting coach, you guys, whoever, you need to find a new hobby. There's only 45 people watching this, but if you're getting worked up about a hitting coach, go find a new hobby. These guys have like 4 or 5 hitting coaches during the offseason, it seems.
Yeah.
Oh, Darren Wright. Wow. Abbott no hitter. Now that'd be big.
His channeling his inner Wade Miley.
Yeah, that'd be big.
Field.
John, 7-2 Reds. I'm going to go ahead and give it my prediction. I think WTIce has been worked up all year. He must hate Chris Valaika.
Yeah.
Or this is like Nick Kirby and Trace Fowler's burner account. My prediction, 6-2 Reds. Abbott holds him down. He doesn't give up a run. The bullpen gives up 2. I don't want to do this, but I'm actually a big fan of this Bo Naylor. I think he'll hit it. I think I called it last night, sort of. I said, watch out. I think he's going to hit another home run tonight.
I don't even think we mentioned his brother, Slade Cecconi, was in that trade for Josh Naylor from the Diamondbacks. So forgot to mention that. But yeah, his brother, Bo Naylor, the catcher, Alex Wallace is high on him.
Yeah, I'm high on Bo Naylor. I wouldn't mind Josh Naylor with the Reds, but I think the Reds have that. I think his name is CES. But there were some rumors. I don't know if anyone caught that maybe the Reds would be interested in bringing him in as a rental, and they were interested in the offseason, I think, too. All right, Sam. Well, I think we've paid our dues tonight. We've done what we can. We've given the good vibes. And some people think Abbott's going to throw a no-hitter tonight. We will see.
Let's go.
If you remind some people of Tom Browning, maybe he'll throw a perfect game. Sam, how about you go ahead and sign us off here? Run the outro. And everyone, go Reds.
Go Reds.